From the age of about 7 years old, I went through a very traumatic experience where my house burnt down. This was very hard for me and my mum, as we had to move out, and my mum had to live in a hostel and I would live with my grandparents. At the time, I would tell everybody it was okay. I would tell everybody that it wasn't something that was affecting me, but deep down it really was. So nobody knew what was going on inside and what had happened to me in the past. They just knew me as Amma, the loud Amma, the one that everybody knew. Although I started to attend in the church regularly, I didn't actually make a change inside. I would still hang around with the same people that I knew were bad influences on me, and I just did a lot of the same things. So I developed another personality where I was somebody else in the church and somebody else on the outside as well. But it came to a time when I realized that I was in the church, I was in the presence of God. I would see so many people around me moving forward, so many people around me changing, but I was still the same person and I was still unhappy at the end of the day. So I made a decision to really change from the inside, to show God who I really was, to show God that I needed His help and I needed Him to transform me from the inside, to heal me from the traumas that had happened in the past, to make me happier. Because that's all I wanted. I just wanted to be truly happy on the outside and the inside. I had to show God that now I'm actually being serious. I want to change for real, not to put on a front, but to be really real with Him. And I had to show Him that I trusted Him, not putting my trust in other people, which was very hard for me already because of the things that had happened in the past. A lot of people had let me down in the past, but I had to trust God that He would pull through for me, He would be there for me. And He did. My life was completely transformed from the inside out. I no longer had to show that I was happy to other people, because deep down I was happy. And with the complexes and the insecurities, they naturally left me because God showed me my own value, and the fact that He did that for me showed me that I was worth something. I made a decision, and that was to be happy.
Good evening and welcome to Finding Answers. We have a very special program prepared for you tonight. Tonight we're talking about abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, violence in the home. And we will have not only two people who have experienced and overcome abuse, but at the end of the program, in the last segment of the program, Victoria will be interviewing a doctor who is here with us tonight, Dr. Vanya Martins, who will be talking to us about the effect that abuse has in a person, but also telling us 3 important tips on how to overcome abuse. I would say, of course, you know that overcoming abuse takes a lot more than 3 tips, but perhaps you could call them 3 important steps that you can use to then develop yourself and overcome whatever traumatic experience has happened to you. First of all, I want to show you this video that has to do with tonight's topic. Have a look.
I apologize. I didn't mean to. Okay.
How about you come up with the money to pay for this?
Well, all right, I'll try to.
Where?
Okay, all right.
Where? Tell me about so you take care of it. No more. I'm sorry. Stop it. I've had enough with you saying. I've had it. House being a mess. No food when you come home. It doesn't take that long to pick up a few toys. Come on. You move a little faster than that. Let's go.
My husband wouldn't give me my kids' clothing and my kids' beds to sleep on. He took my house key from me. He took my truck key from me. He took everything from me. And at that point, he told me that the house was his and not mine, and that I needed to go elsewhere. He grabbed me by my wrists and he slammed me up along the side of his truck. The neighbors saw what he had done to me, and they called the cops.
Family violence can be any type of threat, fear, intimidation, and actual assault of one family or household member against another. We're required to intervene. We were required to investigate. We were required to make a report. If we determine that a predominant aggressor has been involved in the incident, we are required to make an arrest.
If you are watching me now and you have experienced any kind of abuse be it physical, sexual, mental abuse, I would like you to give me the next 50 minutes, because the next 50 minutes could potentially change your life. We know that the problem with abuse is that even when a person overcomes abuse, it leaves the memories of what happened to that person. And when the person overcomes it, even though the memories are there, the good thing is that the person doesn't have to be a prisoner to whatever happened to them. We do know, however, that perhaps the majority of people who experience abuse live years of torment as a result of what had happened to them. I have Victoria here with me. Good evening, Victoria.
Good evening.
How are you?
Very well, thanks.
What kind of scars can abuse leave in a person mentally? How long can that last for?
Well, potentially it can last up to a lifetime, particularly with those people who don't talk about it with anybody or admit that it's happened. And it can cause problems with future relationships. People may throw themselves into relationships because they want to find love because they didn't find it before, or they thought they had, but actually that person turned on them. Or they can totally withdraw from relationships and turn against men, for example, and then be on their own for years. But it can also make people find it difficult to sleep. They may have flashbacks. I mean, there's a whole huge range of different psychological problems that you find.
So with some people that can even last a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Right. And
yeah.
it is possible to overcome the scars of, not the scars of abuse, but the wounds of abuse. If you have a scar and the scar is healed up, you see the mark there, you remember what happened, but it doesn't hurt anymore, right? And we're going to show you later on tonight 2 people who remember the abuse that has happened to them. However, they are no longer prisoners of those experiences. They're living their lives and they're happy and they're looking forward to the future. Here's a video that Victoria recorded earlier talking about tonight's topic.
Everyone has arguments and everyone disagrees with their partners, but violent or aggressive behaviour within the home, typically involving the violent abuse of a spouse or partner, is termed domestic violence and is a criminal offence. 1 woman in 4 experiences domestic violence at some point in her life, and an abused woman may live with domestic violence for years before she seeks help. Someone who experiences violence in the home is often overwhelmed by fear. But why don't you leave is a common question that someone may be asked who experiences violence in the home. People tend not to leave because of a fear of further violence, fear of the unknown, and worrying about the safety of themselves and their children. People may feel that they have nowhere else to go. Experiencing violence also doesn't stop someone loving the person who is being violent towards them. I hate the violence, but I still love him, is a common claim from women experiencing domestic violence. For people who are experiencing violence in the home, there is help out there. Maybe you are experiencing violence yourself, or you think that someone you know is a victim of violence in the home. Everyone has the right to live without fear of violence and abuse. If you would like to talk to one of our advisors about any of the topics raised in tonight's programme, then call Finding Answers on 020 7686 6300 or send us an email at help@findinganswers.tv. Alternatively, if you would like to talk to us via social media, then send us a tweet. Just start your tweet with @FindAnswersTV or search for Finding Answers on Facebook.
If you know someone who has gone through abuse and perhaps this person has confided in you about the traumatic experience that they've gone through, whatever kind of abuse it is, then I'd like you to contact this person now. Send them a text, send them a tweet, call them, and get them to tune in, because this program could be the first step in a life-changing future situation for them. This could really put them in a new direction in their life. So give them a call once we go for the break. Get them to join into this program tonight because it will help them. And if you are going through abuse yourself, perhaps you are no longer in an abusive relationship. But the problem is that even though that relationship has ended, the scars are still there. Maybe every time you start a new relationship, you can't allow anyone to come close to you. I recently heard from someone that was abused by her dad when she was growing up. And then she lived years far away from him, thought she was over it. But when she got married, in her honeymoon, she panicked, she froze, she couldn't let her husband touch her, come close to her, because everything that she thought she had overcome came back rushing to her mind. And perhaps you think you've overcome a problem, a certain abuse you went through, but every time you start a new relationship, everything comes back to your mind, and you can't allow people to get close to you. You put these walls around you that even when someone wants the best for you, you think this person will hurt you just like you were hurt in the past. Maybe you want to trust someone again, but you can't. You just feel that you can't. If you want to talk to us, you want to be free from this, you want to overcome the abuse that you've gone through, then give us a call right now. Our number is 020-7686-6300, 020-7686-6300, or send us an email to help@findinganswers.tv. You can also send us questions for us to ask Dr. Vanya Martins, who will be here at the end of the program. Victoria will be interviewing her. You can either send those by email or also by Facebook and Twitter. How can they do that, Victoria?
So if you'd like to send in some questions, just send us a tweet. Just start your tweet with @FindAnswersTV, or you can do the same via Facebook. Just search for Finding Answers.
And we may not have the time to read out all the questions, right? But we're going to try to pick, a few diverse questions. If we get 10 that are pretty much the same, we hope that in answering one of those, we'll be helping quite a few people at the same time. So forgive us if we won't be able to read out the exact question you sent. Perhaps it will be yours, but we will try to help as many people as we can tonight. Okay, we're going to go into a short break. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Pamela and Sashawna, who went through a terrible, terrible traumatic experience in what has to do with abuse, but they've overcome it. You will hear their amazing story in just a moment.
How do you heal the wounds of a broken soul? Let us help you. What would you do if you had to protect a great treasure? If the answer is obvious when it comes to material wealth, it should be even more obvious when the treasure is greater: your marriage. In Bulletproof Marriage, the couple Renato and Cristiane Cardoso offer solid guidance to those who appreciate the value of their relationship and want to shield it against the risk of divorce. Besides their years of counselling thousands of couples, Renato and Cristiane present the hugely successful TV show The Love School, as well as marriage courses around the world. In over 2 decades, they have lived in 3 countries and have given hundreds of talks in more than 30 countries. Speaking from their long and sometimes troubled marriage experience, the couple offer practical tips to protect current and future relationships. To order your book online or for more information on the Love School event 2014, visit our site, theloveschoolevent.com. This event was brought to you by the UCKG Help Centre.
Welcome back. I want to introduce you right now to the two people that are sitting here next to me, and I just have to correct the name of one of them. It's not Sashawna, it's Sashawna.
Yes.
Sashawna, okay. Anyway, we're going to talk to you first, Pamela. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Good evening.
You've been on the program before. We asked you to come back again because your story is very relevant to tonight's topic. If I can just ask you to start from, you've been through a lot of abuse,
yes,
right? A lot of violence.
Yeah.
Where did it all start?
Well, it started from the time that I was a child, and I used to go to uncle's place, so-called uncles, but they were really friends. And from there on, I was abused as a child, and I carried that on, and it carried on for quite some time. And at the age of 14, I ended up having my first boyfriend.
Let me just ask you something. You were abused, you mean sexually?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
The reason why I'm asking you is because the topic tonight is abuse, and there's several kinds of abuse, and you went through several,
Yes.
right?
Yes, I did.
And was that the first kind of abuse you went through, sexual abuse?
Yes, that was the first one.
How long did that last? Did that go on for?
It went on for about 5 years. Yes, on and off, 5 years of my life. But it started when I was about 7, 8.
Did you ever tell anyone?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
I didn't, no, because I was a child and I didn't really know what was going on. I just thought, this is normal.
Okay. So at the age of 14, you said you got your first boyfriend.
Yes, my first boyfriend. And thinking that, you know, because of what I went through, I thought it was normal. And then growing up thinking, okay, this is part of life, you know, this is having a boyfriend now. This is what life is about. So when I got with my first boyfriend, everything was fine at first. And then along the way, he started getting controlling. He wanted to control me, and I could not understand. At first, it was exciting because I thought, oh my goodness, this guy really cares about me. But not realizing that he was trying to control me.
So, okay, for example, I just want to ask you something. You said that control initially felt like he took an interest in you. He really cared about you. He cared so much that he wanted to know everything.
Yeah.
But then it went over the top. When did you notice that it wasn't normal?
I started to notice it wasn't normal when he was getting aggressive. He would like control me, where I go, what I do, who I speak to. And I started realizing, well, this is not normal. You know, if this, you know, at first, like I said, it felt good because somebody cared about me. Somebody actually loved me for who I am, you know. But along the way, then I started getting hit along the way with it as well.
Hit? You mean physically?
Physically, yes. When he couldn't get his way, or if I would speak to someone that he wasn't happy with, when we got home, he would physically beat me.
Do you remember the first time he hit you?
The first time he hit me, it was at a party, at one of my sister-in-law's party. He wasn't happy. I think it was something to do with I was dancing with somebody, and he wasn't happy, and he slapped me.
Okay. He slapped you in front of everyone or at home?
No,
at home.
No. What happened is I was crying. Yeah, because he was shouting at me. Then when I went to an upper room, that's when he came and we were arguing, and he hit me there.
So that was the first time?
That was the first time.
Why didn't you call off the relationship and say, this is not acceptable, it's not right that a man hits a woman, and you just walked out and said, I don't want this relationship anymore?
I thought it was normal.
Why did you think it was normal?
I don't know. I just thought, this guy really, he cares about me.
So you still thought that was a way of him showing that he cared?
Yes, yes.
Why?
Because he did things for me. He would take me out, he would spend money on me, he would talk to me, he would guide me, and he would protect me. Okay,
so, and the reason why I ask you why this is not an attack, I'm actually trying to understand why you would accept that or think that was okay, and I'm sure people at home have the same question. So for you, did you think like this guy cares so much about me that he would go to the point of physically making sure that no one comes close to me. Is that what you thought? I don't know.
Yes, that's what I thought. That's because growing up as well, when I had my dad there for a short while that my dad lived with us when I was a child, he used to hit my mother as well.
So you saw that happen in your own home?
Yes. Yeah.
After he slapped you for the first time, how many more times did he hit you?
It continued.
Then it became something regular?
It became something very regularly. And the reason after that I didn't come out, I started having fear. I was scared. It was no longer, I couldn't get out of this relationship anymore.
How long did that relationship last for?
It wasn't just a relationship. At the age of 16, we got married.
And how long did the marriage last for?
It lasted for 7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
So that relationship broke down eventually?
Yes, it broke down eventually.
Did you get married again?
Yes, I did.
That second marriage, was there abuse there as well?
There was abuse, but it wasn't physically, it was mentally abused.
Which one was worse, the physical abuse or the mental abuse?
To me, they were both the same. Both the same. The reason I'm saying it's both the same because one was physically, which it was very painful. And it was beating, it was bruising, it was punching, it was everything you can think of in the head, in the body, in the stomach. You know, I ended up in hospital, and I thank God I managed to be able to get out of this relationship through a cousin of mine. Then when I managed to get out, I stayed single for some time until finally he was still coming after me. He didn't finish there, although I left him, but he came after me. And he came after me with a gun because he wanted to kill me. So what I had to do now, I met somebody else. After a while, I met someone else. And I knew this person had a reputation that he had people to protect him. He had bodyguards.
So you thought he would protect you?
Yes, which he did.
Right. Physically he did?
He did.
But you said he started to abuse you verbally?
Yes, mentally.
Mentally?
Mentally, yes. He was fine, first year fine, second year fine, and then all of a sudden he would mentally destroy my mind because he loved so many women.
And I want to ask you something. I asked you which one was worse, whether it was physical abuse or mental abuse. You said they were both equal, both the same. Now, with the sexual abuse that you went through, the physical abuse and the mental abuse, which one for you was more difficult to deal with?
They were all difficult.
All the same, equally the same?
Yes, all the same.
Okay.
Because I loved the second one so much, and he helped me, and now for him to have done this to me, betray me, not once, but many times, that killed me.
That destroyed you?
Destroyed me completely.
Okay.
I became like a crazy woman.
Sure. Your story is so powerful that we could do a whole show on your story, but I want to go and talk to Sashawna now. Did I say your name right?
Yes.
Good. All right. Sashawna, how old were you when you first experienced your first abuse, if we can call it? What happened?
I would say I met my first boyfriend at 15, and I would say around 16, that's when he started to emotionally abuse me. Because I had many family problems growing up. So in terms of that, he was sort of my security, something that I had for myself. So I would tell him everything about my life. I didn't have friends, so he was my friend that
So you trusted him completely?
I trusted him completely. And he started to sort of use that against me if I was angry, or if something would happen, he would really just play games with my mind. So it was around 16 that I started to...
Tell us about the one moment that really scarred you in this relationship.
It was when he tried to rape me. And at the time, I could see signs that he wasn't the right person for me, because he would get very angry. He would smoke weed a lot. He would drink. And I started to see that I didn't like who he was becoming, and there would be many girls calling my phone, and I just wanted to end it. But then when I wanted to end it, he started with the emotional games, like, I made you who you are. You cannot leave me. You're nothing. Who are you going to be without me? And the day that I decided that leading up to the week, I decided that I was going to end the relationship. And at the time, I wasn't even using any contraception while I was with him, and I decided to, and he's like, oh, you're with other people. He started to really become really aggressive, and to one point he even like broke glass, put to my throat, and we got into like an argument, and he tried to rape me. He put a pillow over my face, and I tried to get help. We tried to struggle, tried to fight, but it was just, it was difficult. But
when that happened, he tried to rape you, he did those terrible things to you. Did you try to go and tell someone? Did you try to speak to the police, to a family member, a friend, anyone?
I didn't speak to anyone because it was like, who was I going to go to, especially the situation that I was in. I was by myself because at the time I was in a hostel, I was in temporary accommodation. So he told me, who's going to believe you? At the time I was around 17, 18, so he was like, you're at the age of sexual consent. If you go to them, what are you going to say? I'll just say that you agreed to it. People argue all the time.
So you felt powerless?
Yes, I did. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. So I blocked it out like it never happened. It was like, it's true, because he conditioned my mind to thinking there was no point.
So he made you believe that he was right and you were wrong?
Yes. In everything that we did, it was always my fault. It always ended up at my fault, and he just used my circumstances as a way to use it against me. You're not fit. Who are you really gonna tell?
Okay, so now when this relationship ended, you said you tried to put this to the back of your mind.
Yes.
You thought, let's just forget about it. You thought you were over it. Did you go into a second relationship?
I did.
Did that affect you then?
It did. Later on, it took a while, but because I sort of pushed it to the back of my mind, it's like, okay, things happen, forget it. I did get into another relationship, and this time I didn't, let's say, rush as I would. So I really emotionally trusted the second person, as Pamela said. And with him, he would just joke around, try to be affectionate. And there was one occasion, I'll remember that he tried to be affectionate. I was like, no, stop. But he would just continue playing until I had a panic attack, thinking that the same thing was going to happen. And that's when I realized that I wasn't over it, and I hadn't really spoken to anyone about it.
So the second person wasn't being forceful?
No.
He was just, he liked you, you liked him, he thought he could hug you, whatever. But when that happened, you had a panic attack because you thought the same thing was going to happen, even though this guy had no intentions of doing that?
No, because me saying no, and even though he was still joking, harmless, I said no, but that no didn't stand for anything. Right. I thought it was going to happen again.
So we need to go to a break now, but I want to say to people at home, you are listening to the stories of two amazing women who've overcome abuse, and you've only heard the side of those traumatic experiences. You've heard the side of the violence, of the sexual abuse, the mental abuse, the physical abuse. You will hear after the break of how not only they left those unsafe situations, because the thing is not only leaving an abusive relationship, because even when you leave the abusive relationship, you carry with you all the problems that you accrued during that time. So you're not going to hear, oh, I left an abusive relationship and then, everything was the same inside of me. No, you will hear how they became confident, strong, and ready for whatever life throws at them. Why? Because the root of the problem, or the root that was there because of what happened to them, was addressed. If you're watching me and you say, listen, James, I am not in an abusive relationship anymore, but I was before. And I still feel affected by this. I feel afraid to be close to a man. I feel afraid to give myself to someone in a relationship. I don't feel I can trust anyone anymore. And this is hindering me from being happy because I want to be happy. Perhaps you feel you have a lot of love to give, you are a great person, but you're afraid that if you go into a relationship, you will carry all the hurt with you and you won't be able to make that relationship work. If you're watching me now and you need help, you need to talk to someone, feel free to give us a call right now, 020-7686-6300. Reminding you that at the end of the program, Dr. Vania Martins will be speaking, answering questions rather on how to overcome abuse and how to deal with certain things, but also at the end of the program giving you 3 steps to start overcoming the hurt of abuse. We'll be right back.
In life, there are problems that just hit you with a blow. Everything crumbles away and the heartache never seems to disappear. Everything keeps going wrong. You are in despair. What do you do when your hope isn't enough? When your single prayer seems to return unanswered and the persistent problem is still there? Partner with God and make a chain of prayer. The Chain of Prayer is a weekly series of uninterrupted prayer and action to tackle the most stubborn of problems. Make the chain of prayer and turn things around once and for all. Don't give up. Make a chain of prayer. It works. One-third of women in the world are victims of violence or sexual abuse. The World Health Organization considers the problem a global endemic. After all, these women are everywhere. She sits next to you on the bus. She walks past you in the aisle at the supermarket. She could be your manager, a friend, your sister. She could be the person you least expect. For this reason, let us break the silence. The Rahab Project invites you who have been a victim of physical, verbal or sexual abuse or any other form of domestic abuse to participate in a meeting aimed at your physical, psychological, emotional and spiritual freedom, promoting peace to all women who are or have been victims of abuse. For more information, call 020 7686 6000 or visit our website uckg.org/Rahab.
Welcome back. So we heard in a really, really powerful way what happened to these two amazing women who are sitting here next to me. And I'm saying amazing because to recover from what you guys went through, it wasn't easy for sure. So going back to you, Pamela, what was the lowest point of, I mean, your whole life before you came to God was a lowest point almost, but what was the lowest point you went through in your life?
The lowest point in my life where there's many, but one of them that when I went away on holiday for some time, and when I came back I realized that my bed had been changed. And I was a bit suspicious, you know, because he stayed home. I didn't go with my husband, he stayed home. And then someone told me that he had a woman there. And that was it. I said to myself, you know, because I never trusted him. He made me feel so small, you know, every time we went out, because I knew that he was looking at other women, you know, and dressing up for my husband and going out with my husband, only to find out that he was there flirting with other women. That made me look so small. So when I went away... Sorry,
your husband would go out with you and be with you, but he would be looking at other women.
Yes. Yeah.
How does that affect a woman?
It does. It does.
But what about those men who say, well, you can look but not touch?
But it makes a woman feel so small. Like I felt like I wasn't good enough. And that made me start hating other women. Because I would look at them and think, well, what do they have that I don't have? I would look at them up and down and thinking, you know, what is it? What is it? Because I felt so small.
So the lowest point was when you found out that while you were away, your husband had someone else in the house on that bed, and you felt betrayed.
I was, yes.
When did you come to the church, Pamela? Who told you about the church?
I came to the church with because my sister invited me.
Which one of your
Maria.
sisters? Maria. She came before you?
She came before me.
Actually, if you don't know about this, Pamela's sister, Maria Constant, she came to the church on a wheelchair.
That's
she was
right.
told she would never walk again.
Yes.
She would never walk again on 37 tablets a day. And because of the power of strong prayer, today she walks, runs, does everything. So she brought you to the church.
She brought me, yes. And I wasn't going to come because although I was going through so many problems, I used to think this is the way of life. You know, there's nobody out there that can help me. You know, I have to live with it. Whether I like it or not. I didn't know that there is help out there that I could get. And then when she invited me, I only came because I felt sorry for my sister because of what she was going through. So I said, okay, let me go, you know. And then as I came, I started receiving some help. And I thought, okay, you know, what's going on here? Why is these people trying to help me? Why they've been so nice to me? You know, I didn't understand what was going on. And then I was receiving some prayers, and I started feeling better inside of me. I didn't realize how much I was affected inside. Instead, when I was out there, before I came to the church, I was drinking just to get over my problems. You know, and some
actually, sorry to continue on you, but when you started to drink, you created another problem.
Yes.
In trying to forget about the one you had, you created another one. So the prayers you were receiving, the support you're receiving, you know, I'm sure this took time. It's just that we don't have time. But you know, how long did it take you for you to overcome the hurt of abuse that you went through, the years of abuse you went through? How long did that take you to overcome?
It took me some time because I was a very hard person to open up because I buried so many things from the time I was young as a child, and I would not open because I felt ashamed.
But you had nothing to feel ashamed of.
But I thought I...
But that's the problem. I understand what you're saying. And the reason why I'm saying this is because everyone who comes on this show and says I was abused, I was raped, I was this, they say, oh, I felt ashamed. But I want you to know that if you've been a victim of abuse, you don't have anything to be ashamed of. I know you feel ashamed because everyone says that when they come on this show, but I want you to know that the one who should feel ashamed is the one who hurt you. And that's something for you to try to, you know, use that to come forward and seek help. How are you today, Pamela?
Today I could say that through the help that I got from the church, I'm completely transformed. I can't believe that I'm Pam. From there and from now, that I could say I'm Pamela, happy. I never thought I could be happy.
Are you confident?
I am.
What do you do today in terms of career and so on?
I work with properties, yes, I do. And I have to speak to a lot of people because this is my job. And now I could speak with confidence. I don't fear, because before I used to fear because I was beaten. I would fear. I was ashamed. I didn't have self-confidence. But now I can say I have self-confidence. I'm not ashamed, and I can put my head up high, and I could talk. I'm not afraid to talk anymore like I used to be.
That's
and
great.
I could go out, because before I used to get panic attacks. I could get dressed and stay home.
And you've overcome those panic attacks?
Everything.
So even though you remember what you've gone through, you are no longer a prisoner of that. You're free from that.
I'm free, completely free.
That's great.
Yes.
Amazing. Now, and what about you, Sashawna? You were telling us about how you went into this other relationship, and just the fact that someone was trying to be nice to you, affectionate to you, you had a panic attack. What was the lowest point in your life?
I believe the lowest point was like a repeated pattern. In the second relationship, it was more emotional, and the person ended up leaving me to be with one of my friends, and they turned around and said to me it's because I was so closed, like they just couldn't do it. And I just felt like, wow, so what's going to happen then? And I just remember I would just cry myself to sleep a lot. I just didn't want to do anything. I lost a lot of weight, a lot of weight. I didn't eat because I was just stressing the trust issue between opening myself up to people as my friend and my partner. So that was one of the lowest
Did
points.
you ever get to the point, because you were saying you were so closed up because you were afraid of being hurt again, did you ever get to the point of thinking that all men were the same, that they would all try to do to you what that first boyfriend did to you?
Yes and no. I believe that I did, but then I didn't think that it was just that I wouldn't know that they were different because I wouldn't
give them a chance.
Give them a chance. That was what I believed.
Okay. How did you find out about the church?
At the time, my mother was already attending. And as growing up, I would go with her on and off. But however, through my situations that I went through, was a friend that sort of really pushed me to start it to come. And through coming to the meetings and really hearing the word of God, then I started to somewhat believe, and I had to learn how to trust God, not people. And it was very, very hard. And it was through the advisors that was there, and also there was a group in the church that really had to teach me how to forgive, because I had a lot of things built up in my heart and let down my guard. So it was through the teachings, the messages that I was able to forgive. I blamed a lot of people because I worked my way back. Why was I in that situation? Why did I end up like this? But I had to forgive my boyfriends at the time, my mother, a lot of people. I had to go back.
You had to forgive the guy who raped you, who tried to rape you.
Yes, but because I sort of pushed it back to my head, believe it or not, I sort of just said, I crossed him out of the equation.
Some people think you're mad.
I know.
Some people think, how would you forgive a guy who raped you? Forgiving doesn't mean that you're saying it's okay what he did to me. Forgiving means that you let go whatever hatred you have towards that person. Because when you hate someone, the only person you're hurting is yourself. Because every day you punish yourself, that dark hole just grows more and more inside of you. So forgiving was a key part of you moving on. Definitely. How are you today?
I'm happy. I have no more grudges. I totally forgive the person, and I'm fine.
Now,
yes.
Did you just put whatever happened behind your back and on the back of your mind, or have you actually overcome that hurt and you feel now ready to face life again?
I've actually overcome it. I'm able to trust people more, because I found it even difficult to make friends, especially after that. But since I just let go of that and really started to believe what my life could be, and if I wanted to be happy, I had to really change my mentality, which is the hardest thing, but I've definitely done that now.
That's great. Guys, thank you so much. It's a shame we didn't have more time. And the one point I wanted to make before we go to the break, a very quick break, is that the reason why these two amazing women here have been able to overcome the trauma, the hurt, is because they gave access to the deepest parts of their life to the one person who can deal with your hurt, deal with your pain, deal with your past, and that's God. It's very important. It's important that you receive, psychological support and all these kind of things. Very important. That's why we have a doctor here today, by the way. But in terms of forgiving, moving on, your faith plays a key role in overcoming the hurts of the past. I'll be telling you more about that right at the end of the program, but right after the break, Victoria will be here sitting with Dr. Vani Martins, who will be answering questions and also, of course, giving you the 3 steps that are important for you to move forward.
They say that home is where the heart is, a place that should be filled with joy, security, happiness, and memories. However, sometimes our own blood is the cause of most of our pain. Before you lose hope, try this. Every Thursday, come and pray for your family and receive the guidance and support that could help you all reconnect again. After all, no amount of success can compensate for a broken family.
Uplifting.
Diverse. Vibrant. Dynamic.
Powerful. Youthful. Informative.
Energizing. Passionate.
Motivational. Freedom. Lively.
Excitement.
Welcome back to Finding Answers. So tonight we have an expert with us. This is Dr. Vania Martins. Welcome.
Thank you for the invitation.
So can I just ask you first of all, before we get into the questions, what your subject specialisms are?
Yeah, I'm a medical doctor. My specialty is gynecology, obstetrics and sexual health.
Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question. This one's actually from our street interviews. So we're just going to show a short video with a question on it now.
Definitely depression is probably number one.
They're arguing and they're talking negatively about each other.
What is more valuable than another? And so
you can have as many friends and family as you want. It just depends.
Is a common regret, like, oh, like I should have like asked that person out, or like.
Hi, I'm Chika here for Finding Answers. Domestic violence is never an easy topic to speak about, so I've asked the general public to give maybe some questions that they have concerning the topic. Let's see what they say.
People have fights and arguments all the time, but how can you tell the difference between a fight and abuse?
So people have fights and arguments all the time, so how can you tell the difference between a fight and abuse?
But the most important thing, fight and abuse is not about shouting. It's about the way you talk to someone. I usually like to work with examples. One good example that I see every day at the clinic is that a man says to her partner, "Did you see your sister? He's very slim. Have a look at your body. You're putting lots of weight." It's abuse. He's not shouting, but he's putting her down. It is abuse, it's psychological abuse, because definitely she's going to be feeling her self-esteem is going to decrease with things like that.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be shouting, it can be very subtle.
Definitely it can be.
Okay, that's interesting. Now we have a question via Facebook, and this one says, what are the signs that someone may be experiencing violence in the home?
Well, it varies. We have a child abuse or have women abuse. The topic tonight is women, are women. And then I would say some women, they become very sad, others become very aggressive, because violence is like a cascade. The man is abusive with the mother is abusive with the child. And then she can become very aggressive with the child, or she can simply forget, she does not talk to the husband anymore, or she does not clean the house anymore. She starts to go out, or she starts to, okay, I'm going to watch TV all day, I'm going to Facebook because I'm fed up, nobody cares about me, the children only give me problems, my husband is aggressive with me. And there are many types of behaviors. Some women, they become sad as well, depressed, they come to put weight. Some women, they start to lose loads of weight.
So it can be extremely varied. But I'm quite interested in the point that you said about it cascading down as a chain reaction. So have you yourself seen examples of when a woman will start to abuse her child because she's been abused herself?
Yes, because he is stronger than her, but the child is less stronger than her.
Okay.
And then he hits her at night, and she hits the child during the day. Or she does not care the child in a proper way, because it's a way she expresses her frustration with the relationship.
So could that involve neglect as well?
Of course, no vaccination, no go to school, no proper food, or she gives junk food for the child, for example. Okay. Or she goes out and locks the child inside the house in a way to try to perpetrate violence against her husband, because usually the man is violent with the women, but he loves the child.
Oh, I see.
It's a strategy to hurt him.
So she's getting back at him by hurting the child.
Yes, it's a good strategy they use.
Wow.
It's not right, of course, but many women, they do that.
That's really interesting, thank you. So we also have another question on the street interviews.
Why do victims stay with their abusive partners or go back to them after they have left?
Well, we have many reasons. For example, I heard during the program, some women they fear of leaving the partner because most of the time, after she leaves, he's gonna kill her or he's gonna fall on her to kill. Most of the violence happens when they kill the women is after she left the relationship. Or it's financial reasons. Sometimes they work at the home or they have a job, but they have 2, 3, 4, 5 children. How can I get rid of the relationship or with the children? It's another question. Other question, some women, they don't know they are victim of violence, because sometimes the partner arrives at the home shouting, and she says, "Oh, my husband's so good at me. Can you see the house I live? Look at the car. I have everything. No, I'm not being fair with my husband. He's only stressed today." And the following day, he hits her, because it's the way it works. Today I shout at you, tomorrow I'm gonna hit you, and then I'm gonna kill you. Exactly how it works.
Okay, and they kind of weigh it up, so they think, oh, I've got a house, I've got the car, I've got the financial support, so that outweighs the abuse.
Yes, because they see it as a gift. Because if he gives me all this because he loves me. Of course, maybe he loves you, but maybe he needs help, psychological help. Maybe he has suffered abuse at the job, or maybe he suffered abuse when he has a child as well. You don't know. But he needs help, because if you don't help him, definitely he's going to kill this one.
So that brings me on to my next question. I think we've probably only got time for 2 more questions, but this one might be quite useful. What help is available for abusers?
In the UK, you have, what does it work? As a clinician, usually you should denunciate it to what we call CQC, is a Commission in Quality Care in the UK. It regulates the whole clinics in the UK. If I see that someone is victim, I should call them. And they are going to invite the couple, they are going to invite the man and the woman for some help. They never invite only the woman, because it's not the way it's gonna sort out these issues.
Okay, so for example, if a woman was being abused by a man, the man could then get help
be treated,
themselves.
yes.
Okay, so we've got time for one more question, and this one is, can you give us 3 tips or 3 steps for beginning to overcome abuse?
Well, first of all, you need to stop the chain. You need to leave. You don't have choice. It's difficult, it's not easy, because it involves money, it involves be strong, it involves getting support, is the first thing. First of all, don't be isolated, because who does the violence tries to isolate you. It's a strategy. So you need to be with a family, a group, or maybe a church, or a group of people. Try to be them, gonna guide you, or can give you some support. And the third thing, you have to denunciate. You don't have choice, because once you leave, if he's very violent, he's gonna try to kill you when you leave the relationship.
Okay.
Because he's gonna think that I lost my object. This is mine. I cannot lose that.
Right. Okay.
I want this back. If I cannot give it back in a good way, nobody's gonna have that.
Well, thank you very much. That was really useful. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
So I want to thank Dr. Vani for being here. Amazing how you explain to people the important part and the steps of how they can overcome abuse. And the final thing I have to say is that you can't overcome problems by yourself, whether it's abuse, whether it's any problem. You always need help. And faith plays an extremely important part in this. So if you are going right now through abuse, if you are no longer going through abuse, but you still suffer the effects of abuse, I want you to know that you don't have to fight this by yourself. You don't have to try to deal with this by yourself. As Dr. Vani said, sometimes the support of a group, be it a church, be it a family, be it someone who's close to you, that can be one of the key factors in you overcoming the abuse. So for the next 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes, our lines will still be open. If you would like to talk to someone about the abuse and get some prayer, get some support, we are here for you. The number to call is 020-7686-6300. It's been a pleasure to be with you. Our program's gone on a little bit longer than usual, but I believe that it's been very helpful for those who were paying attention, and I believe that you could take something from it to help you with your own problems. Okay? It's been a pleasure to be with you. Until tomorrow, have a wonderful night.